in Punch this morning is quite interesting because one of the things many Nigerians have clamored for is the reduction of cost of governance. And the fact that it seems as though there's money somewhere. You know how government says that we don't have money, and Nigerians says, no, they're lying, there's money, they're sharing it. And sometimes it sounds like beer apologists. Sometimes it sounds like loose conversation. But sometimes when you hear figures like what Punch reported from Ramfac, you begin to think to yourself that, okay, is this really beer apologist, or is there money somewhere that we are actually not channeling properly? So going back to the reports where we discussed, where I discussed during the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission, according to their website, this shows that the federal government have severance gratuity for ministers, commissioners, National Assembly members, State Assembly members, and special advisors. There's nothing for special assistants, just special advisors. And according to this breakdown, the federal government will pay about 3.39 billion naira, while states who are not generating revenue, who mostly are dependent on federal government, would cough out 60.06 billion naira as severance package. That's worth it. That's something that must be reviewed. And we're looking at all the various angles. I mean, some of the indices that Punch used in getting these figures that they published was saying that because political office holders are entitled to 300% of their annual salary as a severance package. In addition, some ex-governors will be paid 100% of their annual basic salary for life. They will also get new cars every 3 years, a house in any part of the country, free medical care, as well as furniture allowance and car maintenance allowance. They also get money for their helps, nannies, chefs, and other services. So there's no one that will read this and not think, okay, what's going on? Maybe there should be some kind of review, because as our political parties are gearing up for 2023, these are some of the issues Nigerians would like them to put on the front burner. How are you going to reduce cost of governance? How are you going to ensure that the meager revenue that we have is channeled appropriately, and to reduce the attraction of politics to people? Because many people are attracted to politics because that's where the money is. What are your thoughts?
Me, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm even attracted. I'm thinking of which states now. Do I go back to Delta State, or do I try in Lagos State, you know? Myself, I want to chop money now. Whose fault? There's a time for everything. There's a time for plenty. And if there is plenty in the land, some things will not be looked into. Some things can fly because everybody has, a semblance of good standard of living. But if you're in a place where there is scarcity, the basic needs of your citizens are not met, this will now sound like, are you insensitive to the plight of everyday Nigerians? We have clamored, we have shouted, we have spoken times without number on this table that we need to reduce the cost of governance, that it seems like this democracy, this federalism we're practicing is too expensive for the country, comparing it to the revenue that we are generating. And so far, it just seems like numbers are being reeled out on a day-to-day basis for someone who just served for a few months, a few years, and then for life you are sorted. Why wouldn't you do whatever it takes to clinch that power? Because your life is sorted. Now, what I'm saying is not like making no be like say with the beef people we go serve also. But what I'm saying is, right now we're trying to pull resources together to see how we can come out of this quagmire of scarcity. The average Nigerian does not earn up to $1 a day. These are indices that we have, data showing that people are struggling. And yet, somebody serves for a time and then for life. You are sorted at the expense of other Nigerians and taxpayers. I think it is unfair, and we need to look into it. I think civil societies, this is the time that you should carry placard and be shouting. We have to do something about this.
This is something that happened since Obasanjo's time. This is not the first time, so let's not act as if it's new.
Of course not.
It's been there for years.
Yes, we know that.
Since democracy was established, since we had a government, we've had these severance packages for our leaders. Even Babangida is enjoying some of these packages.
Yes.
Obasanjo is enjoying
all of them.
All of them. So it's not new. It's always been there. So regardless of which government comes in, which party comes in, this is almost a standing order.
It's a problem.
And we need to find someone who's going to help us review it. And that's really the conversation. Let me come to you, Nima.
The person that will review it, the chairman of the commission, Mohammed Bello Shehu, says that it is due for review. But then he sort of insinuated that it's only certain sectors. You know, I took it and I said I agreed with him because he was emphasizing on the judiciary. And he made a comparison. He said even some house members are also poorly paid. He made a comparison with the salaries of some government agencies like the NNPC, the CBN, where he says a middle-level worker in those places are even well paid, more paid than, you know, than a judge. He says that in the NCC, for instance, anybody working in the NCC, they would never disclose what they earn to you. And you should add the, what's it called, the one on the waters. We know these agencies where everybody will do anything to get a job within this country, and you will be at par with any international companies abroad. He then said that, you know, though basic salary looks like it's small, he says a 7 minister might earn 500,000 monthly, but his housing allowance is 200% of basic. That amount. So he made emphasis that, you know, yes, their basic salaries are controlled, but their allowance is also needed to be, you know, reviewed to conform. And I want to believe the way I read it in The Nation that he's talking from our Nigerian point of view is as in he's talking as a Nigerian, knowing that we don't have the resources to continue to give out bogus salaries. On this report in The Nation that I'm still using, his emphasis is on how the allowances are so outrageous. We've reviewed what we are earning, so they need to review
the allowances
as well downwards, and review salaries upwards to make it balance it that way. And I hope that that's what will be done. So,
in the private sector, when we hear things like severance packages or allowances or gratuity, it's usually based on the buoyancy of a company, and it's their discretion to give it or not, or to withdraw that policy. So I have a friend who works in a company, and they used to give these really lovely severance packages. You can get maybe some 200% or 100% of salaries. They'll give you something. And there was an oil company that did so well, but at some point, things were a bit tight. And then they withdrew that policy and said, listen, when you leave, you only get this amount of your salary.
That's it.
A month and leave, and you're fine. And that's it. But you can't argue it because it was not part of your employment requirements. In the public sector in Nigeria, where we see our revenue is dwindling, we're not making as much money. I think it's time for us, don't you think, that our revenue mobilization must begin to see, okay, how do we pay based on what we are receiving?
What we have, what we are generating.
What we are generating. Because it is very clear that we can't continue to pay 300% of somebody's salary for life at this stage. We can't buy them new cars every 3 years anymore. When we were buoyant, when we had oil money, these things were probably instituted when we had oil money and there was plenty to spend. But there should be a review. But you see, the flip side argument, BC, is the fact that they will say the reason why to dissuade public officers from stealing public funds, let us ensure that they are well taken care of, even after office. So there is no need to steal.
Okay, so how do they steal after they have left office? I think we need to start by changing the mindset of what politics should mean to us as Nigerians. So politics is not a job. It's your offer to serve. And that is why, personally, I would advocate for people who have something doing, people who are masters in their own field, consultants, technocrats, to get into politics. So that after you have served, you can now go back to doing what you were doing before. So, most of the politicians that I see sometimes just believe that it's a job. I get the job, I do it, and then for life, I am sorted. No business runs like that without crumbling. And because we don't look at governance as a form of business, that's why a lot of things fly. A lot of things are just messed up because we're not thinking, we're not futuristic in our thinking. We're not thinking of the next generation. What would they meet? What infrastructures are they going to meet? What's the quality of education they're going to meet? What's the quality of healthcare? We're not thinking that, we're just thinking about our pockets, lining our pockets, filling up ourselves, and that is all we think about. So if we start projecting into the future to say, these are the resources that we have. This can no longer serve to, throw around. If you finish your job, go back to whatever you were doing. If it's even possible as a politician that you're doing the job part-time so that you have something, we have lawyers who are in that sector, who are politicians, we have consultants, we have medical practitioners. So you do your governance and then you practice. So you just have something that keeps you, when you are done, you are paid off. And you're let go, so that the next leadership will focus on using the resources to better the country. But we keep going back. It's like an organization that is still paying the former MDs and the former CEOs money after they have left the offices. And I know they will argue with you that if you're working in a private sector, your mates are so level, this is what they get. But you're not in a private sector. You chose to serve. So serve and leave so that the resources, if you really claim that you want to serve, the resources will be used to better the country that you're living in.
What will happen to your children and your family, everything?
You don't have a job before?
Okay, let me take this call. Good morning, I have a call. Good morning. Faith, are you there from Delta State? You're live.
Hello?
Faith, thanks for calling.
I'm calling from Delta State.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah?
You are live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Ma, please, I don't know where you people say office.
Okay, wait, you may get something.
Okay, so I think based on, the analysis this morning with our producer, Dolapo, on what the UK Prime Minister that resigned.
45 days Prime Minister.
45 days, 43 days Prime Minister, that what she will be receiving is about £129,000 per annum. You'd see that our examples are foreign. And it's painful.
True.
It's very painful. We are looking at how it is done somewhere and saying, because you've held offices, we must give you the dignity of that office as well. We're no longer looking at the dignity in labor. An average doctor is running out of here to go and get a higher purchasing power there. But the public office holder will just say, don't worry, I will stay. And the country will then continue to pay me, And so we need to be, I wish that RAMFAC, because this review, according to the former chairman of this body, he said they've had over 4 revenue formula reviews. And each review costs them money, millions of money put into the reviews. But every time, none of them have been passed into law. I hope that he's not just reviewing and hoping that they pass into law. He's holistically looking at things. If the government can say to ASU that, a salary review for ASU is not sustainable based on our economics, why are you reviewing the person who's having hardship, reviewing the salary of the larger number of people who will make impact? The doctors are complaining. They are, even the hazard something for them during the COVID has not been fully paid. They still said that recently. So that decision to take a review is a tough one. And my concern is not just that the reviews, because when I broke down the total amount, the Chief Justice of this country is receiving 6.7 million naira annually. When you do a breakdown, that's about 500 and something thousand naira monthly. So the MD of one bank is well paid than the person who will decide
to serve.
No, not just serve. Who will have to decide truth and falsehood, based on morals. And so where is the motivation? But the concern that I have is the percentages on which certain allowances are decided. So housing allowance, according to the present chairman of the body, is 200% for a sitting minister on whatever that sitting minister is earning. You can only imagine. If anybody is leaving office, the president now on record is about 14 million naira annually. But his basic salary, his allowances, housing, wardrobe, other allowances, and especially his severance allowance.
Newspaper said that they pay.
It's about 500-something%.
Let me take this call.
Outrageously. So we should focus on allowances and the percentages more than this salary reviews.
Ladeji from Jos. You're live. Go ahead, please. Good morning, Ladeji. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. The Lord bless you all. You see, we are a very, very timid nation. Because how are we going to open our eyes and ears and all this is going on in abject poverty and an average Nigeria cannot? I was on YouTube watching some a nation, I won't mention the country, in their National Assembly deliberating. They were in T-shirts and jeans. Their National Assembly is like a primary school building. They put benches, they sat down, and they are living on tourism. And I don't think those people are still there can afford to pay even the 500,000 naira we are talking minimum wage for our legislator and all that. Look, we should wake up. Everybody should wake up. Any president that wants to come now that is not going to think about how they are going to reduce all these expenses.
Yeah.
Look at us. For how many months? How much does what ASU need? Does this measure up to what our political appointees are getting? Let us look up and do something about it. You know, when I was young, my big family people who are big people, driver of government, drop them at home, take them in the morning, unless they go on tour.
Right.
Nobody's government are going to sleep in anybody's house. Now, when they go with something they got 50 million. They are.
Thank you, Ladiji. I mean, I think so. The real conversation is there must be a review downwards. Although revenue mobilization and fiscal, they wanted to review upwards for certain people.
For salaries.
Yes, but you see, sometimes, let me look at the flip side. Because of the numbers of people in political office, that's why the numbers look so big. Because if we're going to get houses for this, that 36 governors, imagine they get 300%. When you multiply that figure, that's why it looks so heavy. So, therefore, I'm just trying to justify the reason why it looks really 60 billion is a lot of money, if those numbers are accurate. But is it possible that we can still maintain a severance package for these political office holders, but may not make it that large?
So it's okay that everybody who has worked must eat.
Or compensated.
Or compensated for, it's okay. But it's the level of the compensation. Because you are looking at trying to build a sane society. You're trying as much as possible to ensure that the good hands, people who are truly deserving of service, who really want to serve, are put in power. And when they are done, you settle them. So you thank them and you say, okay, bye-bye, let us focus on the next a crop of leaders that are coming in. You could say, because you have served, your children will have access to a free education, scholarship in Nigeria. Because you're serving, you have served in this capacity, you would have access to medical care in the country. You can't go and be paying for with a regular Nigerian who did not serve. Do you understand? You could make all of those things to just settle them because, you know, everything started from the idea that we need to survive beyond every other person. So this I must amass is because the basics are not there. But when you put the basics for the people, everybody is okay. When you do little things, when you do little packages, little, you know, everybody's satisfied. Yeah. Because the country is working. You know that you are not going to have a problem of transportation. Yeah. You're not, if anything happens to you, medical emergency, there's a hospital. Yeah. Yeah. There are qualified doctors that will attend to you. You won't have any need to be paying for wages for your housekeepers, your drivers, and all of that. After you've left the system, you won't have any need for that because the system can take care of you. So can we, as law-abiding citizens, civil societies, can we put this on the table to say that when we deal with this, there will not be any need for this so that we can build this country? We travel abroad and we sit down, we enjoy all the services and the systems that are put in place, but people sacrificed for it. If you read Obama's wife's book, Michelle, they said they pay for, when visitors are coming to visit them, they pay from their salaries. Why am I going to be giving you money from the coffers for you to, allowance from the coffers for you to attend to your visitors? How does that concern Nigeria?
Let me take this call. Good morning, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
I have a call from Norway. Good morning, you're live.
Yeah, good morning, Morayo. You know, there's one thing about it. People have to go about this.
I can't hear you well, Anthony.
Are you hearing me?
It's a bit muffled, but go ahead.
We need volume.
Can you?
Yes. Anthony.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I greet you, Morayo.
Yes, sir.
And I'm getting my sister there.
Oh.
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, you know, that's the reason why election in Nigeria is do or die. Because they know what they're benefiting from them. See, let me tell you. Nigerians don't care about those that are ruling. For example, this country I'm living today, Norway, they have the same oil as Nigeria have. I know that the population is very little. Yes. Can you imagine that the money Norway have to pay, as they let us to know, if they stop sucking their oil, if they stop fish, if they stop every resources they are getting, we can live for more 300 years. But in Nigeria, it's a country that they cannot boast of living without resources for 1 month.
So difficult to hear you.
See, let me tell you, everybody in Nigeria has to wake up. Without it,
okay, I think we lost that call. I was trying to hear him very...
I agree with him that everybody has to wake up, because this is not about the people holding the offices. You know, some of these agencies that we even talk about, some private sector, when they retire, they push for juicy pensions themselves. They don't have to be in public office. And Nigerians don't consider it a thing of dignity to retire and have your benefits within the shores of this country anymore. There's not dignity in simple lifestyle. People honor Jack Conde till he died, but some people would say,
he didn't gain anything.
Say, I'm now only one house, you know. So that no longer is the standard for most Nigerians. And so before we point finger to the people in the office, we too, if we reach there, what will we do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of us, we push for juicy things. He reach, you know, reach. First, give me my own first. Later, we'll talk about whether I reach the others. That's the mentality. And so this mentality is what has brought about this. If you look at our basic salary, why would you take an out of proportion? Okay, let's look at the standard of mortgage here. The one that is federal government regulated. The minimum is not enough to buy you the kind of house you would see a politician hold. And so you will put housing allowance and say, times it by 200%, not 100% again. So that he can have the status. So that when the Nigerian visits, he will say, okay, that's our former office holder. If that former office holder was a B2 driving ex-office holder, Nigerians will look down on that person.
Yeah. We've
monetized everything. And so this mentality, this
has to change from the mind.
It's painful, but it's from our mind.
All right, so there are two things I'd like us to touch on. One is the solution, which is what you prefer during the break, and I like to say it on TV. But the second one is the fact that sometimes many of these ministries and agencies fail to understand the mood of the nation. We just got out of ASU strike, complaining about they want X amount of billions from the federal government. But complaining every day, NMA is talking on the front page saying that our doctors are losing our doctors. Where are they going? They're not well paid. We don't have enough equipment in the hospitals. People are lamenting. And here you are saying you want to review upwards the salaries of political officers. Sometimes, even where we understand the fact that the judiciary have been clamoring and we know that their welfare needs to be reviewed, but there's a better way of doing it such that the people don't feel like you are stepping on them, or you don't care about the pulse of the Nigerian people. Because sometimes when you see these figures about reviewing the salaries upwards, President Muhammadu Buhari and the Vice President are going to get a new salary review upwards, and I'm thinking, why? What's broken that they need to fix? And then the issue of what would have been a better severance package, which I want you to say, right? Like, because we can't say that our president, our vice president, our ministers who have served
with their hearts,
shouldn't get anything.
Of course,
it would be very unfair.
That's not what we're saying.
We should.
No,
so what do you think we should get? Let me come to you.
Wait, I wanted to quickly say this. There's almost like there's a disconnect when we make decisions in this country. Before this government came into power, they were talking about subsidy theft, oil theft, non-supplied oil subsidy and all of that. Those realities were around us. But till today, this budget that we have just submitted, the budget proposal, we are looking at 10-point-something trillion that we are going to go and borrow to go and pay that money that we know is not beneficial. This country cannot pay aviation, what's that money that we owe in the airlines? Because we are not earning any dollar.
Airlines, yeah.
NNPC is selling crude, but dollar not they come in. And we cannot print that dollar. And it's affecting every business. And we continue to project our spendings and earnings and spendings in future as if, don't worry, it will take care of itself, but let's just do it first.
Let me take this call. That comes to Hassan has been holding. Good morning, Hassan. Oh, we lost that call.
Hassan, please call back.
So, can we as Nigerians begin to think collectively? And this is not just for our leaders, because we are our leaders. Now the leader where we be. Now waiting we be, now we they reflect. So, can we, for once, think of, everyone, and not just me, myself, my family, and I? For once, it will change a lot of things. Have our leaders sat down to ask themselves, why is there so much crime? Why is crime rife? Why is there so much armed robbery, banditry, all this yahoo? Why? What is in the minds of young people right now? Because I would say, the politicians started this trajectory of crime. I remember growing up, there was nothing like you come to a place and they are hailing you for the big car. Everybody was treated like not respected. You were respected for being in academics. You were respected for having something you're doing. You were respected for your labor. You were respected for being a policeman. Yeah. You were respected for being an officer, being a soldier, being a medical doctor, being a lawyer. You were respected for your substance and not for what you have. But over the time, we started hearing and seeing people, looting money, stealing money, doing things in their villages.
Oil boom.
You come to a village, there are no good roads. You see one very huge mansion, and everybody, another man get that house, another man get this one. Are you taking your call? Because I want to finish what I'm saying. Yeah. And then that changed the mindset of people. So it's better that you steal and just have something than you see poverty, kill your family members. Some people are not able to buy as little as malaria drugs for their parents, and they watch their parents die. And so that person stands up to say, and yet people are eating money. Let me find my way. Have our politicians sat down to say, what can we do to change the mindset of this coming? Because it's getting worse by the day. People are queuing in droves to go to houses where they can learn how to do yahoo, because nobody now wants to suffer. Nobody wants to labor. Nobody. Have we sat down to ask ourselves those questions? If we do, then we will understand that when you rip the people of their basics of life, their standard of living, they will do whatever it takes. It becomes a jungle and survival of the fittest. And if we don't change that mindset, we'll still be going round and round in circles.
Let me take this call. Richard, are you there?
Good morning, lady.
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you. So, first of all, honestly, I really don't see the basis for the kind of allowances for life that people who serve at the maximum 8 years will be receiving all these jumbo fees for life, maybe until they die. Whereas people who serve 35 years of their life in the civil service, they still cry, they beg. Sometimes they even have to protest before their plight is listened to for their salary. Do you know that even Nigeria Airways workers, pensioners, they've not fully paid them every of their entitlement up to today? So we're talking about solution. What's the solution? The solution is actually very simple. It is for us to now reorganize our pension system. The reason why all these people want to amass all these things is because they are not sure after they leave service what is there for them. That is why everyone who is there now, they want to just grab as much and put 200%. So if our pension system is such that after you retire, you are sure of getting your pension as at when due.
Thank you very much, Richard. I think we lost that call, but I think I get the point. How do we solve this problem? I think you were saying that during the break earlier, saying that things like helping school fees within Nigeria, instead of giving you money allowance for children's school abroad, healthcare within Nigeria. Not that they'll give you allowances that can let you go anywhere in the world. Your healthcare in Nigeria. For example, they're going to change your car, change to Innocent, a vehicle, a Nigerian vehicle, something affordable. Maybe not change it every 3 years. Maybe at least one-off to the car that you're giving to you. Whatever it is, the point is that there's got to be a way to downsize on these numbers.
I agree with you. And for me, changing of car after you've left office is a waste, as far as I'm concerned. You're done with the job. we've paid you out. We can now save for posterity, for your children that are coming up, just to make your life easy. Make sure that if you have kids, they can go to good schools, they have good scholarship, they can access medical care. You can access medical care, so you're not bothered about if I have an ailment, which doctor is there to take care of me. It's free because you have served. Those are some of the things, and that also ensures that the system works. Because when you are in office and you know that you have no other option, you're not traveling out for anything, you ensure that in your ward, in your local government, in everything you're doing, that things are working well because you fall back to that. We're trying to put the resources within. We're saying, let's not import so much so that we can groom here. And then you carry our hard-earned money and go and spend it there. Let's give ourselves brain. You can say for bus systems, we have good stand, like in Lagos now, they have a lot of good buses. Now you're going on transportation and it's free for you because you have served. You understand? Let us also encourage not one person not having fleets of cars. These are some of the things that will help us build this economy, attract people to invest in our economy. We travel and we see other places. They are not as much, they are not so fantastic. They are not as fantastic as we are in terms of resources. Some of them don't even have resources, but they've been able to manage themselves in such a way that they become what the world wants to see. Can we work towards that?
Right, I've not heard you speak in a while. Let me come to Bob. I'll come to you.
Sorry.
Good morning, Bob. Are you there?
My sister, after
You're live.
I consume my study so much.
Sorry.
Well, speaking to every one of you there.
Morning.
You have all spoken well. It's just unfortunate the kind of country we are now. It's not like olden days the way of managing the country. Because in the past, in the 70s, between 60 and 70, already 70s, you see university students, they take their lunch with chicken. With chicken those days. In every university you see good food. But today university is the case. What am I trying to say? With that your topic you put up about giving such amount to all these our elders or governors and presidents. I think if they so much love this country, they should pocket that money to.
I didn't hear. I'm not hearing him. Go ahead, Nima.
So just to go back to what the chairperson of the ROMAFC was saying, that, you know, the basic salary has to be reviewed upwards. And if you do the maths of basic salary, you would see it. But he did not talk about it. He specifically said it excluded accommodation, furniture.
But in the review upwards, is excluding these.
These are not going to be reviewed, but these are based on percentages. These other figures are arrived at based on percentage, which is why I was emphasizing percentage. But just to inform, so they get these numbers of allowances: accommodation, furniture, duty tour allowance, ESTA codes, medical, severance gratuity, leave and motor vehicle loan, annual basic salary and regular allowances like vehicle, fueling, maintenance, special assistance, personal assistant, domestic staff, entertainment, utility, security, monitoring, newspaper for DGs. Where we leave them? Since we know if you review the allowances.
Let's leave it.
Let's leave
This
it.
is such. Let me take
Because you'd expect that the reality, and these are the people that we now appoint to do these things. You'd expect that the reality of what is on ground is based on what he would talk and what the papers would report. All these allowances is what people were screaming over that made all of us look as if those people that were appointed in the national assemblies and houses of assemblies across the country were thieves. And just started shouting, what are you earning? Remember some years back, every time we see a lawmaker, what are you earning?
How much are you earning? Yeah.
Because how do you maintain this thing? There was new allowance for newspaper. How many of you who are civil servants with 35 years in service can ask for this same benefits? Look at us as he plenty where we realize. If I have one job, I get all of this. Why am I working? Looking for extra job.
Olabi from Egbeda, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Brother. Good morning.
Despite everything, despite the focus, allowance, everything, are they still not corrupt? The question is satisfaction. The question is just capital satisfaction. Now, in Singapore, I watched a documentary whereby someone left a laptop inside a coffee shop and went out to see maybe they will touch the laptop or pick the laptop. That shows you that the man came back after 6 hours, the laptop is still at that point. What the man now gave all the narrative that this country is just with
satisfaction. Our leaders don't have satisfaction. The citizens don't have satisfaction. I want this. I still want to hold more. You can't live in 2 rooms at a time. And yes, they are building estates whereby they can't even go to that estate in a year. I want to be sitting here. All what we want is just satisfaction for this nation and for our kids. It's just alarming.
Thank you very much, Olabi. Thank you for your contribution. You see, one of the reasons why I love this show is the fact that as the fourth realm, our responsibility really is to set the agenda, you know, and as we go into elections, it's important that we set the agenda for all those who are on the flag bearers of all the parties to know what are Nigerians thinking, what are they saying, what are the issues, what are our expectations, what are the things we expect from our government when they get there. So these are some of the things Nigerians are saying, that the cost of governance is way too high. And there's got to be somebody, because I always tell people that we focus so much on who is president. But our problem is not president.
He's not president. Oh.
Our president are the National Assembly, the lawmakers, the House of Assemblies in various states. Those are the real people that are going to fix this country, because they are the ones who make the laws. Who are going to everything we need, the restructuring we are looking for, the reallocation we are looking for, everything is National Assembly. So we must, the people that are going into the National Assembly, they are the most important people as we go into these elections. So we're all focused on who's going to president. President is one man, but there's so much the president can do. Yes, he has a veto power. He's the head of the executive. But the truth is that the National Assembly can also veto any law that he passes.
Yeah. So that's even for document. But just that you're in an office and the perks are just so endless.
So there is, but it's the National Assembly that can review this. They are the one that can review this.
They're not still review. But you know what is the name of this body? SERAP. They are there. Every time there's a review and they want to pass it, SERAP wake up.
So as we're setting the agenda, we must ask the right questions.
Yes.
When you are going there, what are you going there to do? Let me take it and I'll come back to you. Richard, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yes.
You're live.
I appreciate your contribution. Hello?
We can hear you. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Oh. You see, this country is becoming something unbearable for people. You see, our leaders are not trying at all. They've been promising and failing, because I foresee one thing that is going to cause a very big problem tomorrow. Tomorrow can be this tomorrow, can be in future. But I'm telling you that the youth may mobilize one day to storm these people in their offices, even the president, to drive him out of the office. Because just as you people said, there are hunger in town, and some people are swimming in the wet. Because the truth is that if our leaders are sincere, things will work better.
Yeah.
They take examples from other countries, they travel to that place, and then they never take what they learn from there into practice in our own country. Rather, they go there.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, please.
Can we also care a little for other people? Can we just care a little for other people? And I know that politicians will say, when you people come, you are the ones that will ask me for money for rice, you ask for school fees, you ask for this, you ask for that. But you need to begin to make the people understand that if I give you this rice, use the money to buy the rice and give to you, and I don't do this road, you will still come back next year. So we're very used to giving people fish. We don't know how to teach them to fish. But if I use this money and I do this road and I do this school and I do this, you give you a conducive environment for your business to thrive. I support this business. You will not come back to me next year for rights. You will be able to hold on. Hold on,
because it sounds nice on paper. Let me pause you for a second. Wait, that thing, I'll let you talk. That thing you just said sounds fantastic on paper. Okay. But the reality is there's a widow who her husband has died. Yeah. Her family took everything she has. Yes. She has nothing she can feed. Yeah. She goes to this local government chairman, this politician, please help me, help me do this.
So let me tell you how it's supposed to happen. The government will make provision for that. That's a different account. That is not because we gave you allowance, you now decided to share it. It's because you have excess and that's why you're sharing it. If you didn't have money, what will you share? But the government should make provisions for those vulnerable people. We have civil societies, we have foundations that make provision for those vulnerable. So that is taken care of. And when you need all of those things, you go through the appropriate channel, you are registered, and you get that help that is very much needed for you. It's not the politician's job. It's not the leader's job to pay your children's school fees one by one. Can we reduce our expectations of these people and hold them accountable?
Good.
And say,
Now, we're talking to ourselves.
Yes, of course. Now, when they cause them now, the demons we see today, we built them.
Because, you see, if you speak to a politician, for example, somebody's father died. They're expecting you to cover at least 500,000, 100 million. If you give them 100,000, yeah, where is just stingy? You didn't even give us anything. Because they say because they carried your flyer or because they helped you to rally people,
they
like
expect
you owe them
something, yes.
That's what an average leader is going through. You for burial, they expect, okay,
you must drop something.
Even everybody that loses a family ex, call every politician they know. Is the governor you know? Is the vice president? Wherever you call them. My father died yesterday. Oh, please, oh.
Let me quickly say this: the government should not provide an office for that. Because Kogi State Governor did it one time with this table. I remember I tore him to pieces. Can we go back to our simple lifestyles? Can we not throw big parties when we lose our loved ones? Is it compulsory? Say you can afford it. Can we appreciate simple things? Because if they never open office for the vulnerable one, out of the 50-something billion, 26 billion don't disburse, we know no person.
Yeah.
No name, no face. Corruption everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can we go back and appreciate if your person dies? Our uncle, my daddy died though. But we finish the burial. Can the burial be small? Which one be dignified since? They'll say they're not giving me a befitting.
Yeah, befitting burial.
Who befit her? You lost somebody. They befit her. No,
let me take this call.
We existed before these things became this popular.
Yes.
We existed in the days when you were going to ask for the hand of a wife, and all you had to carry was yam.
just yam.
Let me take this call. I'll come back to you, Nima. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Who's calling again? Oh, Yakub.
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mario. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, all the you have said it to us. Mario, you have tried your best, and then Sister Anima, I like your contribution. You see, it is unfortunate that we find ourselves in this kind of situation we have. Mario, you said something that is very so germane to my mind now. The most important thing as government is legislative and Senate House. Because they have the power to repeal all these laws that will make a president or a governor, deputy governor to have so much after leaving the office for the fact that he's passed for 4 or 8 years, as case may be. Morayo, you see, the situation is this. When somebody is fighting to become a house of bread or to become a senate, do you know what these people are saying? They make a lot of mistakes. They will come to your area. They will be telling you that, look at this road, I'm going to fix it. Who said this, that? You see your responsibility to fix the road in my locality. They will be telling you this primary school is going to be done. It's your responsibility. Those are the responsibility of executive. But they will be telling you that at the end of the day, when they get to the National Assembly, instead of them to make a law whereby the ordinary citizen of this country is going to benefit from, they will be fighting for allocation of my area. Who sent them that? The primary responsibility of them is to go to that national. You see, a single law can change everything like 260 degrees. If the president fails to set that law, they can settle Mr. President and make it work. Oh, that is where we get it wrong. Good morning and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Nima, you were saying something. Let me go back to you.
I was saying that, simple things. In those days, when we didn't have oil, there was still dignity. And Nigerians were the most laborious. They put their hands to the soil and they earned what they lived with. And that was our richest seasons. That was when we built all these ones that we are celebrating today. All the things we celebrate today as public facilities, most of them are as old as back then before oil was discovered, before oil boomed. But today that we are living excess lifestyle, we can afford it. Every government that comes in budgets for what we can afford and budgets how we will borrow to meet it every year. Every year. We do that every budget. You see there's a deficit and we're meeting that deficit, local borrowing, international borrowing. We're no longer talking based on how we see our gbese ahead. This is how much more work we will take. If a Nigerian leaves this country and goes abroad, they'll do 3-4 jobs to meet responsibilities.
Yes, now.
But if you do in Nigeria, you do one job and say government, no government. And if you're in government, you do one job and say, I don't get it.
You don't even do anything.
There are ways that we can meet up these things and we can please enjoy our simple lifestyles again. Yeah. Let's bring it back.
It'll take a while for us to get that, but I think you're very right. We need to go back because when we review the reality of what we have, we see that the truth is that we can't afford the lifestyle we live. I was telling you recently that when I went to the hotel, there was a hotel I went to in VI, not too loud, not too, just decent. The bed was just okay. It was not too much, just compact. When I entered, when my husband entered, I said, this is what Nigerian hotel, this is what 5 stars should be in Nigeria.
Yeah,
because we cannot afford the big lifestyle here because our economy, this is the kind of hotel our economy can handle. Really and truly, all our hotels shouldn't be more than this because the country can't afford it. Yes, a few of us can afford the big lifestyle, but it's true that the wealth is not evenly distributed. Yeah. So a few of us are getting this money and we feel like, oh, we are high flyers, but that's not true. We're only taking from the poor and enjoying our lives.
In those days, it was kings who rode horses, but the other people did not become stagnant. They moved.
They were working.
Now everybody is a king. We no go greed.
I think that's all we can take. Like, we didn't take any comments on social media. Please.
We have
called
funky flexes. Oh, now you know we are our own worst enemies because I don't understand why after the whole money they get from salaries, allowances, royalties, and even loot, they still talk about severance packages. It is well. Pensioners are dying. Okay. Selfish politicians.
Oluwaseun said, it is we people. We don't care if our roots are fixed. We only care about our stomach. It's we the people. If you don't give people money, they won't vote you. So
Andrew says, we must have a brave leader that will say we are cutting all entitlements by 70% and not paying severance for life.
If any leader says that, in fact, they've won the heart of Nigerians.
Yes.
Even if we don't do anything.
Yes.
Just say, my first day in office, I've cut down severance by 70%.
They will not vote you. Will they vote you?
No, you have entered already.
Okay, you have entered already.
And now that said 70% cut out.
They will get upset, but then when the system starts no, for a while now it will look like but when the system now starts working. No, I know. The people that are benefiting will get upset. That's what I'm saying. But when the system now starts working, our children will look up and thank us. Let's think about that.
That's the idea. But corruption fighting back. In 2015, when President Buhari entered, we had one thing called body language. No, I'm just saying, just quick reference.
Everybody adjusted.
Corruption don't fight, but we don't reverse to old.
Yeah. Remember when Buhari came in? I am for nobody. Everybody adjusted.
We did not reverse, we revised. This country, God help us.
That's all we can take on today's show. I hope you learned a few things over here. I think in a nutshell, the truth is that as we go forward, it's important that these issues are brought to the fore, so politicians know what's pinching us.